I'm out today at the Calder woodland at the edge of Blantyre in Scotland. I couldn't help notice there's loads of brambles out in August and September, which is perfect for making jam, and that's exactly what I'm going to do today. These fruits are similar to black currants, and when ripe, they're black. They can usually be picked straight off the trees very easily, and there's usually loads of them. Wearing a marigold glove when picking them is a good idea because the brambles can stain your fingers. Wearing a long sleeve top is also a good idea because there's plenty of sharp thorns on the plants. I'm back home now in my own garden in High Blantyre, and we're lucky enough to have a few apple trees that this year have got some fruit on. These gala apples are ripe and ready for picking, and I'm going to pick a few just to add to my bramble jam. This is something you don't need to do, you don't need apples to make jam, but I like to put it in just to thicken it up a bit. Making the fruit jam is really easy. Here I've collected all the free fruits together and now I'm going to wash them under a cold sink tap. Just put them all in the colander or sieve, let the tap run and give them a good old clean. Make sure of course there's no leaves and no stalks remaining and it's just only fruit in the bowl. The little pips inside the brambles are usually edible, but make sure there's no stalk on the outside. Picking some quite unripe fruit also helps bind the jam together, but don't pick any green ones. Next, prepare a lemon by cutting it and leaving the skin on. This helps preserve the jam when we add it later on, but of course we'll remove the rind later. So I've now chopped up my apples and I'm going to add them to the fruit, which sits here on top of a scale. Knowing the weight of it is going to be important. This is a good point to work out how your jam is going to taste. I'm going to add these blueberries so that it has different flavours. Add them on the scale. Take a note of the weight. This is what 2.5 kilos of fruit looks like. Remember, most of this has been free. I've still only spent around £1 on a lemon and some blueberries. Next we need a binding agent such as pectin powder to make your fruit stick together. We're going to add this to the jam and this whole tub only costs £3 from Amazon. You don't need pectin powder, but if you don't use it, it will take longer to boil your jam. This is all we need. Alternatively, at Asda for only £1 you can buy this. In a moment we'll add the pectin powder to our sugar, but for now, get some water, this is all you need here, a small amount, and put it in your pan and bring it to the boil. Now we've started to make our jam. Now we're going to add all our fruit. Gather everything together at once and simply empty it into the pot with the little water you put in earlier. Don't worry if it looks dry. As the jam cooks, the fruits break down and this is soon going to become very liquid. Turn your pot up to a high heat and using a wooden spoon, start to stir very slowly. It will only take a few minutes for you to see a difference in their state. So whilst that's bubbling away, let's get our sugar sorted out. I'm using preserving sugar today, but you can use caster sugar or granulated sugar, which is much cheaper. There are 2 kilo bags here today. This is what 2 kilos looks like, and we're going to need that. It should be just slightly under the weight of the fruit itself, which if you remember was 2.5 kilos. Don't put your sugar in just yet. We have to wait first until the fruits start to break down. Here, after only 5 minutes, this is what it looks like. Be careful with your kitchen utensils because the dye is hard to come out. And whilst this bubbles away, we can add the pectin powder to your measured quantity of sugar. This can just be poured through the sugar, but it is wise to try and give it a good mix with a spoon. The pectin powder is going to make the jam nice and thick. The sugar, of course, is going to make it taste lovely and sweet. We return to our jam after 20 minutes. Here you can see the fruits have started breaking down nicely. Here we can turn the stove down to a low boil. There's always other things to do whilst this is still boiling, like boiling another pot so you can sterilise your jam jars. Now let's start looking at our jam jars. We've actually bought quite a few because we intend to make lots of jam over the next few weeks. These are about 50 pence online on Amazon, and they come with a gold lid, which screws on and off, and they all come with stickers or labels for fruit. Little labels you can mark up. This is a good investment if you plan on reusing these jam jars every time you make jam. Let's sterilise them by putting them into the boiling water. Sterilising your jars need to be done. This stops the spread of any bacteria. "20 minutes into making the jam, here's what it looks like now. And we're now multitasking, stirring the jam on the low boil. We have this jar sterilising, and we're about to add our sugar. Add all the sugar at once. Remember, the sugar contains your pectin powder, and once added, this needs to be boiled on a higher boil and stirred continuously for a few minutes. Make sure all the sugar is well mixed in. The mixture is going to get very thicker. Don't leave your pot unattended at this point. The mixture is very hot, almost boiling. It needs to be continually stirred for a few minutes. Whilst that's boiling away, get your equipment ready for filling the jam jars. Here we have a funnel and a jug. Then we can add our lemon into the jam. Now this may look strange, but remember it has a purpose. It provides flavour and it helps preserve the jam. We're going to take the lemon out later. On this particular size batch, this is what it will look like after about 20-25 minutes. Watch out for splashes. Let's remove our sterilised jars now. Being careful of the boiling water, lift out the jars, trying not to touch them with your fingers, and place them upright on your worktop. It's good practice at this point to place some kitchen roll down on your worktop. This will prevent against any splashes from the jam later marking your worktop. So we now have our sterilised jars and labels all ready, and we're going to do that 8 times for our 2.5 kilos of fruit. So we're now half an hour into our jam making. As you can see, it's bubbling away nicely, it's boiling hot, and it's nice and fluid. The fruits have all broken down nicely, the lemon still in the pot. "35 minutes in, it's starting to get a little bit thicker. Some of the thicker material laying at the bottom. I think we're about ready to take our lemon back out again. We don't want the rind left in their jam. Don't forget to keep stirring. Sterilised jars and labels and funnel all ready. Is it time to start pouring yet? This is a question you'll ask yourself a few times. You need to keep checking the mixture to check that it's getting thicker. However, if you're unsure, there's an easy test. Simply put some mixture onto a cold plate and see if it runs. If it runs like water, it's not ready. If it runs with this thickness and movement, then it is ready. And now for the fun and messy bit, but please don't let children do this because the mixture is boiling hot. We're now ready to pour into our sterilised jars. Pour it into the funnel carefully and slowly. Take your time and fill the jar up to 1 inch or ½ inch below the top. And then repeat. Mark your jam with a best before date a year from now. Finally, there's one more thing to do. Using some greaseproof paper or baking paper, cut circles and make some paper shapes. Circles that will fit inside the top of your jam jar. You can buy these directly online. They're very inexpensive and usually come in packs of many hundreds. Don't forget to do this though, it is important. It stops bacteria getting into your jam and helps prevent forming skin over the top. The last thing to do is take your lids and screw them on. Once your jam is cooled down, you can screw them on a little bit tighter. Remember, the jam is still probably very warm. Once opened, it should be refrigerated. That's it. Happy jam making!